Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, we shall be looking at public sector accounting and finance. We started a series some weeks ago, public finance, and we have discussed extensively on public finance, the objectives, the scope, and all that. But as way of recap, let's say again, public finance is defined as an aspect of macroeconomics that deals with how government generates revenue from various sources and how the revenue is utilized on expenditure. Or better still, you may say it is the study of financial activities of government. So, from that definition, we have two keywords there: revenue and expenditure. And government revenue are numerous. For instance, you have taxes, which includes direct tax and indirect tax. You have sales from crude oil, investment, rent, rent and fuels, earnings, and so on. But the totality of government revenue can be broadly classified into two: oil revenue and non-oil revenue. I come again: oil revenue and non-oil revenue. So I have dealt extensively with all this. Also, if you recall, the scope of the public finance that I gave you in my first video lecture, I said that there are five scopes of public finance, or better still, five branches, okay, of public finance. When we say scope, we are saying those things that topic covers. At least those things we are going to learn under public finance. And they are just five. One is theory of government revenue. Okay. One is the theory of government revenue. Number two, the theory of government expenditure. Number three, financial administration. Number four, public debt. And number five is national budget. These are the scope of or branches of public finance. And we have dealt in depthly with the first one, the theory of government revenue. Please go back to that video and get your pen and paper and write. That is how to learn and study. Today, let's look at the theory of government expenditure. The theory of government expenditure. Now, when you say expenditure, what do you mean? Or you enter the exam hall and you open the question, you see the first question: what is public or government expenditure? Now, public expenditure refers to the total spending of a country's government in a particular time. The total spending of a country's government in a particular time. That is, public expenditure there means government expenditure out there, because the word public there refers to the government. So it means the total expenses incurred by the government in the process of discharging its responsibilities out there. So that is that about the work many of the public or government expenditure. Public expenditure is an important aspect of budgetary activities. That is why in any budget, okay, there is a there is there is a portion of government or public expenditure. We have revenue and expenditure. So the government gets revenue from various sources, and use this fund to settle the expenses it incurs in the course of carrying out its responsibilities, such as workers' payment, project execution, settlement of accounts, and others. Alright. Now, the government expenditure can be broadly classified into two. The government expenditure can be broadly classified into two. One is called capital expenditure, two is recurrent expenditure. Capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure. Now, what do you mean by capital expenditure? Out there. Capital expenditure are the expenses of government on developmental projects and investment. That is, the total expenses government incurred on on projects and investment. Now, this kind of expenditure is not usually consumed within a year. They last for more than 1 year. However, they always add value to the economy, the standard of living of the people. For instance, road constructions, hospitals, okay, bridges, and electrification and all that. These fall under what? Under capital expenditure. Number two, recurrent expenditure. Recurrent. Now, recurrent expenditure refers to the government expenses on a daily, monthly, or quarterly basis. These expenses are incurred at current intervals, so they are always consumed up within a year. For instance, they are what? Administrative expenses, salaries, wages, overhead, etc. So these are the two categories of government expenditure: capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure. The next point is reasons for increase in government expenditure. They will always ask you this in the exam. If you check your pathfinder very well, is there. That is, what are the reasons for increase in government expenditure? Here they are saying, what are those factors, okay, that are responsible for increase in government expenditure? So they are: one, traditional function; two, additional responsibility; three, population; four, urbanization; five, unforeseen occurrence; six, debt service; seven, inflation; eight, political instability. These are some of the reasons for increase in government expenditure. Please, you have to be very meticulous here, okay? You need to understand these things very well because it's an exam question area under finance in your public sector accounting and what? Finance. So let me explain this now briefly. One is traditional function. Traditional function. Now, when you say traditional function, okay, these are the normal responsibilities or normal functions that the government should carry out first. So these are the expenses government incurred out there for defense, maintenance of law and order, life and properties protection, as well as general administration. Now, if you are asked that what are the primary duties of government, is to give us defense, okay, law and order maintenance, life and property protection. So all the expenses incurred, okay, by the government, okay, on these things, okay, are under traditional function. For instance, the what? The money paid to the army, okay, the soldier, air force, navy, police, okay, and lawyers, okay, and all that, they fall under this function. Number two, additional responsibility. Now, these are the expenses that are incurred by the government, okay, on activities such as giving of pension, okay, welfare for the old people, the blind, the homeless, out there, sporting activities, and supporting socio-cultural activities. These are under additional responsibility. From that word, they are not the main government function, okay? They are additional. Of course, government of a country will not shy away from all these responsibilities. So they cost money. Number three, urbanization. Urbanization. Now, urbanization, okay, simply means that a state is congested. For instance, if people in the homes now, villages, come to Lagos, Lagos will be congested. Now, due to this congestion, it will lead to increase in government expenses. Are there? So urbanization makes government to incur more and more because there will be more demand in that state. There will be pressure on the state economy, such as incidental services like what? Like traffic, road, pollution, sanitation, etc. This will make government to incur expenses on all these activities due to urbanization. So that is that under urbanization. Okay, people coming from their various towns, homes, okay, into a what particular state. So of course there will be pressure on the economy of that state, and government will have to spend more and more, yes, to ensure that there is no traffic, abi there is no pollution, okay, just to spend extra to put the state or the country in a safe condition. That is that. The third one, urbanization. Next now is population. 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 Of course, you see, government expenditure will also increase due to the increase in the population of people. Yes. Now, the more the people you have in a country or state, the more your expenditure as government, because the more the population, the more the demands of the citizens. Okay, so government will have to spend more, yes, on items like road, okay, schools, hospitals, there, police centers, to maintain law and order, okay, and all that. So an increase in population would increase the public or government expenditure. It's just like if you are a father, okay, when you first have your first child, so you be what? Feeding yourself, your wife, and the first child. When you have the second one, you are now four. When you have the third one, you are five. Fourth one, you are six. So as the number of your children increases, so your expenditure to will increase. That is that. Next now is unforeseen occurrence. Unforeseen occurrence. Unforeseen occurrence like flood, earthquake, okay, disasters, any anything would make government to spend. out there. God forbid if there is a flood now or earthquake in Nigeria, it will increase government expenditure because government is under obligation to ensure the safety of its people. Therefore, the government will have to do everything to restore normalcy to the state by addressing the flood, the earthquake, and other natural disasters. Okay, those countries of the world that are having these experiences, it is their government that will tell you how much they have spent so far. So that is that. Also, again, I talk of debt service. Debt service. You see, debt service is one of the things that is increasing our government expenditure. Yes, debt service means the interest you pay on the debt the country borrows from other countries and other expenses. This is very, very high. The more the government keeps to borrow, or the more the government keeps borrowing from other countries, the more the government expenditure, because when you borrow you are under obligation to pay back interest. So debt service has been responsible for the increase in government expenditure. Last now in this stage is inflation. Inflation. Now, what is inflation? Inflation simply means, okay, the persistent increase in the general price levels of goods and services. And how does inflation affect government expenditure? Hear me now. During inflation, okay, money loses value because you will have to spend more to get little. Therefore, government will end up spending more, okay, more than what they have budgeted for out there. So that will lead to increase in government expenditure. So that is that. Please take note again, okay, that I have just told you the reasons for increase in public expenditure. You must not joke with this aspect at all because it is an exam area question. So next now, let's look at functional classification of public expenditure. Functional classification of public expenditure. Now, in the beginning of the class, okay, I said that we have capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure. Now, government expenditures, okay, can also be classified according to functions. According to functions. ICANN has examined this area once or twice. Please pay close attention. Now, government expenditure can also be classified according to functions in four ways. In four ways. One is general services. Two, social and community services. Three, economic services. Four, transfer services. I come again. General services. Two, social and community services. Three, economic services. Four, transfer services. Now, these are the four ways we can classify government expenditure according to functions. So let me explain briefly. One, general services. Okay. These are the expenditure of government on civil and defense. On civil and defense. Are we there? On civil and defense, that is government expenditure, okay, on civil and defense and administration of the state. They include the salaries and wages, repairs, maintenance, security, and other administrative expenses. So, expenditure on all these are under general services. Is that clear? Number two is social and community services. These are expenditure incurred by the government on social amenities and infrastructural facilities. Alright, these expenditure, okay, alright, are directly supplied to the community, household, individuals, okay, and businesses because everybody enjoys this expenditure. Examples are expenditure on education, healthcare center, welfare, housing, and then cultural, recreational activities, etc. So expenditure on all these items are grouped under social and community services. So this class of expenditure will improve and maintain the living condition of the people because they are on the items that you cannot consume in just a year. Number three, economic services. These are expenditure incurred directly or indirectly by the government to promote our economic activities within the country. They are expenditure incurred on agriculture, industry, communication, transportation, and other economic services. That is, government investment in all these sectors, okay, will lead towards an improvement in the life and our economy of the country. So the expenditure on all those items are what are grouped under economic services. Next now, transfer services. Transfer services. These are expenditure that cannot be classified under any of the three mentioned above. Yes, they are government expenditure on interest payment, pension, food subsidies, special loans, gifts, bursary, unemployment pay, gratuities, and so on. These are the expenditure that the government incur. Okay, so they are called transfer services. So now I have just told you now the functional classification of what of government expenditure. Last now is the principles of government expenditure. This is another key area. Principles of government expenditure. Let me tell you something. Government spendings are guided by certain rules, regulations, procedures, and guidelines. They don't just spend anyhow. Okay, their expenditure are based on some principles. And what are they? They are number one, the the principle of economy. Two, two is a principle of sanction. Three, principle of benefit. Four, principle of surplus. Five, principle of elasticity. Six, principle of neutrality. Please, you must understand these basic government principles. One, of economy now. Abudai. This principle states that government must be very economical in their spendings. That is, they must not waste money anyhow. Abudai. If there is a place they can get a thing cheaper, they should go for that. Government should be reasonable with their spendings. They should stop wasting the public fund. Yes, if what they can get for 1M now, okay, can be what gotten for 800K, they should go for the 800K. Yes, this is what this rule is saying. The principle of economy. Number two is a sanction. Sanction. This principle states that all government expenditure must be duly approved in the budget before spending. It means that government should not just wake up one day and dip its hand into the public fund and spend. No, it is wrong. We are in a democratic system of government where the what legislators are there approve the government budget. So all the approved budget, okay, is what the government only has right to. Any expenditure that is not approved in the budget should not be spent or incurred by the government. Yes, this is done to ensure that there is no unnecessary or unscrupulous or unwanted public expenditure. That is why the legislators always what approve the budget before the following year. So it is the expenditure that are approved in the budget that can be incurred by the government. Number three is benefit. Benefit. This principle states that all public expenditure must be of maximum benefit to the society at large. That is, government expenditure should be beneficial to the people at large. So government should not just waste money. Government should spend on the items that will be of great benefit to the people in the country or the state. So that is, government should compare the cost and benefit. Yes, if I want to spend this money now, what is the effect? Would this expenditure be of gain to the community or my state? If not, government should desist from that. We don't just want government to be wasting money anyhow. So they must incur expenditure based on the benefit the people will get from that expenditure. Number four, surplus. Surplus. This principle states that government must try as much as possible to always have surplus in their treasury. Yes, in their account. Government should not be wasteful. That is why they must plan their expenditure very well. The country should stop recording deficit, deficit, deficit. No, let us record surplus budget once. Let us minimize our unnecessary expenditure so that we can have surplus in our treasury. So this is what this rule is trying to tell government, that government should not just overspend and run into debt. Next now is elasticity. Elasticity. This principle states that public expenditure should not be rigid at all times, but rather it should be fairly elastic. Fairly elastic. That is, during recession, okay, or economic depression, government is expected to spend more. To spend more. By spending more, okay, government is pumping money into the economy, and the economy is lifted from low level of employment, and become fine. So here we are saying government expenditure should not be rigid. It should be made elastic or flexible. Let government expenditure patterns change according to the present economic situation. Just like our COVID-19. That time, many businesses were what were badly affected because no sales, I mean, not nothing. So in this case now, government is what is expected to spend more because government expenditure serve as an investment, okay, into the economy and serve as what as income into the what into the businesses out there. The last one is what neutrality, neutrality, neutrality. Now this principle states that public expenditure should be organized in such a manner that it will not have any adverse effect on production in the country. Alright, that is, public expenditure should be designed to provide more educational facilities, medical benefits, cheap housing facilities, old age pensions, etc. Any public expenditure should not favour the rich more than the poor. Yes, that is the meaning of this rule. That is, government should not favour the rich more than the poor. Government should spend on those things that the poor will benefit more than the rich. So that is that about public expenditure. Please, I want to implore you, okay, get your pen and your biro and take down the note and go to your pathfinder and attempt some questions. Thank you very much and God bless you.